everybody was hungry, right? But I do want to just ask, how many of you do have something that you're pondering? Something that may be bothering you, a worry, a concern. According to studies, 85% of what we worry about never happen. And a Cornell University study went on to find that 79% of the time, people were able to handle that 15% of concerns that did happen. But they were able to handle them better than expected, or they learned something very valuable. Now, psychology today states that the average person reports 3 or 4 worries per day, and 91% are false alarms. 91%. And of the remaining 9%, 1/3 of the time, the outcome was much better than expected. So what does this tell us? That 97% of the things we worry about is either unfounded or it is manageable. All the things that consume our thoughts, consume our minds, is either unfounded or it is manageable. And I believe that the 3% that actually do come to fruition, and it may even be so detrimental or something that really takes us for a loop, even though they happen, I believe that it's not for naught. It's not for nothing. In the worst of situations that occur in our lives, there are still lessons to be learned. And I would invite you to consider that it is all centered around the way we think. All around the way we think. Now for me, I really do not like when something consumes my thoughts. When I go to bed with something on my mind and I'm not sleeping well, and I wake up and it's still there, and you know how something is bothering you and you get this queasiness in your stomach and you just can't get yourself together and you're not acting the same and your demeanor is different and your response is different and everything about you is different. And for me, that really bothers me when I find myself at a place that Cynthia is not Cynthia because she's allowed a worry or a concern to consume her thoughts and take up tremendous amount of brain capacity that affects who I am as a person. And so then I get to the point where I have to say, okay, Cynthia, how do I release this pressure? And that is exactly what it is. It's pressure. Pressure, continuous force on or against an object by something in contact with it. So that worry, that concern, that circumstance, that situation is a pressure. And that pressure is a constant force up against your emotions and what you're feeling and your very essence of who you are. It disrupts your peace. So how do we release this pressure? Might I suggest to you that we simply need to think about what we're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about. According to Dr. Fred Luskin at Stanford University, the average person has over 60,000 thoughts per day. And some say that 25% of these thoughts are repetitive, and 80% are negative. Imagine the impact that 80% of negative thoughts can have on your mental health, your happiness, and your overall quality of life. Now let's reimagine if 80% of those thoughts were positive, optimistic, helpful, good, inspirational. How much different would not only we be, but the world be if we just simply took the time to think about what it is that we're thinking about? Now, there will be pressures, there will be situations, there will be circumstances that occur in your life that you have absolutely no control over. You can't fix it. You can think about it all day long, but it's not going to take it away. You can try to think positive, but it may be a pressure that's so deep that even the positive aspects won't push it away. Those pressures that come in our lives that really take us a step back, and it causes us to really sit down and have to figure out, how do I move now? Because a situation has taken over what would normally be my stance. But when you can't release the pressure, I invite you to be mindful of how you let that pressure control you. Yesterday was 13 months that I lost the absolute love of my life of 36 years. Yesterday, it's 13 months. A stomachache that we thought was some bad chicken salad turned it to be stage 4 pancreatic cancer with 0 symptoms. Nothing. My life was turned upside down. Still is. But I had to learn to think about what I was thinking about. Can I sit and cry all day? Absolutely. Because my life is completely changed. But does that help me help you? It does not. And my goal in life is to help everyone I can to recognize the power that is within each and every one of us. When we come to the realization of who we are and what we can do that no one else can accomplish, because God created you for a specific purpose with a specific task and a goal that no one else can accomplish. Now, we're in a place in the world today where there's not only time for change, but I would say it's time for transformation. It's time for us to confront our fears. We need to stop, take a look, understand where are all these insecurities come from? What are our deepest insecurities, and what are our limiting beliefs? What's keeping me from moving forward? What's really holding me back? Why can't I reach for what I know I can accomplish? It's time to confront those fears. It's time for us to let go. It's time for us to let go of what has been and move forward into what can be. It's time for us to make room for new ways of thinking, new ways of moving, new ways of responding. And it's time for us to assess our motivation. What gives you joy? And what brings you peace? And as I stated before, there will be pressures that you have no control over. But you have to think about what it is that you're thinking about. Decisions will be made that you have no control over. Situations will happen that you have absolute no control over. But what you do have control over is how you choose to respond, how you choose to act, how you choose to speak up, how you choose to not speak up. The decision solely rests within you. So today, as we begin to listen to all of these great projects and rewards, and we know that you've started to understand and push past the pressure that may have held you down, I encourage you to keep rising. Keep rising in spite of. Keep rising because of. Keep rising because there are things that only you can do. And when you really grasp hold to the concept that throughout eternity, forever, across humanity, there will never be another you.
That's right.
Never. You can be a twin, you can have children, there will not be you. So there is power within you that only you can accomplish. There are things within you that have to be birthed, and they can only be birthed from you. When you recognize the power that is within you, you can accomplish anything. Think about what you're thinking about and keep rising to the top. Thank you.
Can we please give Ms. Stokley one more round of applause? Thank you, Ms. Stokley, for your